حي على الفلاح.
A lady that Allah has appointed to be among the believers, a bride from Abyssinia. This lady happened to be the daughter of one of the fiercest enemies of Islam. Her father was the undisputed ruler of Mecca. His own daughter, along with her husband, became Muslims. This noble lady is named Ramla Bint Abi Sufyan. His own daughter, the girl he raised, is going against his own will, against the will of the whole tribe, choosing a new way of life. Habibah suffered along with other companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He chose Abyssinia for them. Many of the people of Mecca had never heard of the name. A foreign land, a foreign continent, a foreign language, a foreign culture. But they were ready to take all the challenges as long as they are for the sake of Allah. As this family settled in Abyssinia, an incident changed the life of Habibah. May Allah be pleased with her. Habibah, along with her family, her husband, Ubaydullah ibn Jahsh, went along with the many companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They took the ship, crossed the Red Sea to go to the shores of Africa. There is a king in Abyssinia with the name of the Negus, An-Najashi, a just king that everybody will be treated with justice in his presence. Yes, as soon as they settled in that foreign land, they started to practice their religion freely. They found the support from that king who took care of them. They lived anyway as a refugee. The language was foreign to the people. Their culture and practices and customs were also different. But one thing they cared about the most, their faith. Unfortunately, as this family settled in Abyssinia, an incident changed the life of Habibah. May Allah be pleased with her. One night she had a dream that she saw her own husband, who migrated with her, supposedly for the sake of Allah, drowning in an ocean. She woke up in the middle of the night, shocked, afraid. She was able to interpret that dream, but she was so hesitant to tell her husband about what she saw. It was only a few days later when her husband came back to her with a new face, with a different attitude. She could smell alcohol coming from his mouth. She realized that her husband has changed. He couldn't stand the tests. She said, "What's wrong with you?" He confronted her with the truth that he had changed his religion. She couldn't keep her composure. She said, "Why?" He said to her, "Either you change your religion or I divorce you." She was in a difficult choice. She left her family behind, everybody behind, and chose this man for the sake of Allah. Now he is abandoning her. She chose Islam and divorced him. Now Habibah, Ramla Bint Abi Sufyan, may Allah be pleased with her, is facing a new dilemma. Alone in a foreign land, away from everybody, but Allah is with me. When the glad tidings came to her on the hands of the Negus servant, telling her that the Prophet ﷺ in Medina, hundreds of miles away, is extending his hand to marry her. She couldn't believe it. The news about this lady and her sacrifice for the sake of Allah came to him, and this was the reward. She gave her necklace, her bracelets, everything that she had to the poor slave, thanking her for bringing the good news to her. When she accepted, the Prophet ﷺ had already appointed the negus, the one who had become a Muslim and a companion, although he never saw Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He sent to her saying, the Prophet has appointed me to represent him in writing the marriage contracts, a wedding in exile. The negus informed our mother, the mother of the believers, Habibah, may Allah be pleased with her, that he would be representing the Prophet ﷺ, and she had to appoint somebody else. She appointed Khalid ibn Sa'id ibn al-As, who was the closest relative to her. It was a jubilant moment, a moment of celebration, not only for Habibah, may Allah be pleased with her. It was a moment of celebration for the whole Muslim community. The Muslims in Medina were joyous. The Muslims in Abyssinia were very happy. The negus insisted that the marriage ceremony, the wedding, should take place in his own palace. He invited all the Muslims. The Muslim community in Abyssinia gathered into his court. And the negus spoke. He said, "Praise be to Allah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I hereby, the negus of Abyssinia, represent the Prophet of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in Medina, in his marriage ceremony, to Ramlah Bint Abi Sufyan, Habibah. The representative of Habibah spoke on that marriage ceremony. Khalid ibn Sa'id ibn al-As said, I hereby represent my close relative, Habibah, and she is accepting the proposal of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to marry her. And Najashi paid the dower, which was 400 dirhams, silver dirhams. And it was the greatest dower ever paid by the Prophet ﷺ to any of his wives. They were about to leave the presence of the king. But he said, no way, by Allah you will not go. It is the sunnah, the practice of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to serve food at weddings. And here you are welcome to the wedding party of the greatest man ever walked on earth, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A new title has been acquired. From now on, she is known by her title, al-Mu'mineen, Mother of the Believers. Abyssinia went through a celebration that only occurred once in its history, and it will never be repeated until the Day of Judgment. A celebration that the valleys, the trees, the rivers and the mountains of Abyssinia would remember until the Day of Judgment. Habibah was very happy. She realized that what really happened was a reward from Allah for her patience, for her perseverance and sacrifice for this deen. She waited for 10 years, but the reward came to her. The bride from Africa, from Abyssinia, was ready to join her beloved husband in Medina, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When the slave girl came back one day before Habibah was ready to join her husband, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in Medina, Habibah gave her a great sum of the dowry that she received to assure her that the news she gave to her can never be valued in terms of gold, silver, or whatever. But al-Najashi sent this girl back to Habibah with all she had given to the slave girl, and with more presents from his wives and family members. When the girl entered the house, you would imagine the house of a refugee, of Habibah, may Allah be pleased with her. The first words she uttered, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And she was kissing the hands of Habibah. Please convey my salam to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believing in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, though she had never seen him. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what if we have seen my brothers? And the companion said, aren't we your brothers, O Prophet of Allah? We are sacrificing everything for the sake of Allah. He said, no, you are my companions. My brothers are those who believed in me without seeing me. So the bride was ready to leave to meet with her husband in Medina. She left Abyssinia. And the life of Habibah, because he is remembered to be among the scholars of the Sahaba, she reported many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she had a very pleasant personality that she was loved even by the other wives of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But an incident that would tell you the loyalty that those people had for Allah and His Prophet. It is when her father moved from Mecca to Medina to renew the treaty he had with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and visited her in her house, the house of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She took the mat away from him, and he said, "What's going, daughter?" He said, "This is the mat where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to sit, and you are not a Muslim. You don't deserve to sit unless Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will give permission."